ask
reason
why?
could you possibly have to be friends?
Do you want to ask why?
Okay. Why, Christopher?
Because I got you with Papa Pear.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'll tell everybody the story of my
and part of this is Teddy didn't grow up with this shit. He didn't grow up with
juvenile
these
pranks.
He didn't grow up with these jokes. So he when he's around guys, he doesn't have to be on guard about this shit.
Yes.
Because he didn't have to deal
At least
with
you're
shit
not
growing
pulling
up.
down my pants in front of people.
That wasn't really a thing back when I was growing up. No one was pantsing.
You told me a story.
I did not tell you. Stop gaslighting me. Anyways, so we didn't really do pantsing when I was in school.
Oh, it's got a name.
Yeah, it's called pantsing. That's when you pulled out someone's pants.
Yeah. Right.
So I texted Teddy. I was like, dude, Papa Pear was just announced. And he was like, what the fuck is Papa Pear, bro? And then I was like, Papa Pear, these nuts in your mouth.
Yeah, hilarious.
And then he didn't respond. So I
didn't see the. I think it's the second part.
So I called him, and I was like, "You got to read the response." And the way he read it, he sounded so disappointed.
I was disappointed. First of all, you wouldn't have gotten me. I mean, let's not lie. You probably would have.
I think I would have got.
But
because that one's not common.
In my defense, yeah, it's not common. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, here's a double win for you. And I hate to give it to you, but I Googled it. Just before I asked you what the fuck it was, I actually Googled it. And I was like, there's nothing there. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Because I just figured it would be something that you wanted me to look up for the podcast or something.
Yeah.
Turns out you were just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. A 5-year-old asshole.
Dude.
Well,
I'm proud of myself, though.
Lovely to have you
Life
all back.
achievement.
Welcome to the show. I'm Teddy. I got Chris next to me. Yes, sir. This is the Barely a Podcast.
Barely a podcast.
Yeah.
Barely late at night.
Oh, yeah. This is the new rendition.
Second episode of Barely Late at Night.
Courtesy of...
yeah, it's pretty spiffy.
It's yeah.
So how's your week been, bro?
I'm prepping for the welcoming of my first son.
The little Bambini.
The little Bambino is coming up. Yeah. My little dude.
Yeah.
Is coming up. Wife is hot and heavy, so
yeah.
I've been carrying a bit more of the chore around the house, so it's been a little hectic. And then I picked up
bet.
Work has been just as bad. You've been vacationing for a little while now.
Yeah, that's been nice. It's my last night of vacation.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit sad. Going through a little depression right now. So I gotta go back to work.
Because you're just contemplating the idea of coming back to work is like, holy, that's a good cry. I hope the camera picked that up. Jesus Christ. Dude, it's going to be hard for me to trust you when you pull out this fucking... Holy shit. What the fuck? Dude, give acting a shot.
Dude, no one will let me act.
Yeah? You think so?
Yeah.
I think they might.
Yeah. But yeah, it's...
You did come up with a topic for this week.
Well, several, but yeah.
Something near and dear to your heart, apparently.
Yeah, dude. I'm just in love with the Mothman, you know? Like, I want to leave Lauren for the Mothman. You know? So if you hear this, Mothman, you know.
Come on this show.
Call me.
Holla
at me.
Mothman.
Hit me on the DMs. No, because we're... Like, we talked about Roswell last time.
Yeah.
And we also want to talk about cryptids. So this is kind of like a slight segue because some people speculate that the Mothman is alien in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think it's natural, like supernatural, but natural from this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of theories about it because there's a lot of weird shit that went on at Pleasant Point, West Virginia, which is where the Mothman story originated from.
So, yes.
So I got the timeline here. It's not a very long timeline because, like, most of the shit is just eyewitness accounts. But like the events that started this off started off in the 1960s, 1966.
Mm-hmm.
To be precise, was the first quote unquote sighting of the Mothman in an area in Pleasant Point they call the TNT area, which was a where the military produced munitions during World War II. It was at the North
Which I imagine will be important to the story later on.
Well, it's important to one of the theories. Right?
Yes.
It was the sighting at the North Power Plant, that was vacated, which was turned into an ammunition factory. It was cited by, I guess, there were some kids going out to like the Lookout Point kind of like area. They were gonna go make out at this like abandoned area where no one was, and they got chased out. They saw this tall figure. They said it was about
7 feet
description 6 to 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
With a 10 to 12 foot wingspan, red glowing eyes. That's like the common theme right there is the red glowing eyes. The heights and the wingspans vary from sighting to sighting, but the one thing that's similar in all
consistent
claims,
description would be the eyes.
consistent is the red glowing eyes.
Do you have? So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Do you want to give a description of maybe just what the allegations were for the first sighting and when it was? Do you recall?
Like one of the things was that like an angelic type figure that had like angel wings, something like that. But they didn't have like the documentary I looked at. They didn't have like an accurate description. There's a shadowy, tall man, tall figure, man.
Like a creature,
tall figure, It was bipedal, angelic style wings they described, but that's it. It was all shadowy, kind of, from what I gathered.
Got it. So we're talking 1960s, West Virginia.
Yeah.
There's a military bomb site involved where probably they're doing some DARPA kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, maybe it was a munitions
like making
factory,
munitions.
Yeah.
And the first allegations would be so when did the bridge thing happen? So we don't want to get in December, correct?
It was in December of 1967, so almost over a year later.
Got it. And so what makes this interesting for me during the research for this and my research about my knowledge of the Mothman before you mentioned it was literally singular. Well, I've heard of an episode on BuzzFeed, one of those shows. So I think they might have talked about
the Mothman.
The Mothman, maybe. I feel like I have heard it somewhere.
Like my first experience with it was the movie based off John Keel's novel, The Mothman Prophecies, which is another thing we're going to get into.
I know it's inspired countless stories. And stuff.
So I watched that movie and I was like, "What the fuck's the Mothman?"
Yeah.
And so I've always been interested in cryptids and like weird shit. I've always been interested in aliens and ghosts and all kinds of stuff.
Got it.
It's just been fascinating for me because a lot of it's just like people who have never met or talked to each other come out with similar stories, but they've never spoken to each other and they haven't heard the story yet because they haven't traveled. So that kind of stuff kind of like it makes you think. It's not like it doesn't grant it like
it does pique
foundation in reality, but it kind of makes you, maybe there's something.
It piques my interest too, for sure. Yeah. Something is happening out there. Yeah.
So there's something. It might be able to be explained, but something is there, right?
I do see a parallel in the story of the Bigfoot story, the mania that we have.
Well,
the chupacabra thing. I see a couple of parallels in there.
But
there's a difference, obviously.
Bigfoot is like that's a frustrating one. Because there's so many weird ass fucking accounts, and we can get on that when we do a Bigfoot episode. Because we probably will eventually. Yeah. I just find Bigfoot out of all the cryptids, even though there's more, he's like probably the most talked about out of all the cryptids. I find him the most boring. He just seems very uninteresting to me.
Yeah. So no, and then I can also imagine like a perfectly reasonable natural explanation for those sightings.
Yeah.
Now, what makes this particularly interesting for me is, first of all, the time duration.
Yeah.
That it's not like a protracted thing that somebody it was like a year or two span.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing before that, nothing after, as far as I'm.
There's always still sightings, right? Eyewitness
people say
accounts.
stuff.
Yeah, people still say
There's
a museum. I don't know if you know that. There's a Mothman museum there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
There's a whole museum for that?
A whole museum. And they go out and actively search for them. Like there's a lot of weird structures that were left during World War II that the military had built.
Mm-hmm.
And they look really weird. Mm-hmm. And they look like somewhere like where like a person or a thing with wings would roost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's but they're abandoned.
Got it.
Yeah, there's a museum. There's a Mothman museum in Point Pleasant. Which is a very very dystopian kind of name.
Yeah.
Like if you hear a place called Point Pleasant, you just know there's some shady shit going on down there.
You know what? I do not want to go to Point Pleasant because why are you trying so hard with the name?
Yeah.
What are you trying to cover up, bro?
Exactly, right? So that's just like already a suspicious name.
Yeah.
Some dark shit's going on at Point Pleasant.
So this story out of West Virginia comes to the zeitgeist and sort of captivates the whole cryptid.
Yeah. Oh, the exact date was November 15th of 1966.
Correct. So that's when starts popping
sighting.
off, right? So between November 1966 to December 1967 is where we have the most accountings.
Yeah.
And of course, that sort of culminated into the final sort of most tragic news associated with this thing, which is on December 15th, on 67, the collapse of the
Silver Bridge.
The Silver Bridge, which ended up killing like 46 people.
46 dead. And the bridge was only 40 years old. So another thing is that this adds to the superstition.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason, because structural engineers went and they looked at, the wreckage afterwards.
Yeah.
And they found a cracked I-beam.
Okay.
And it was the 13th one. Which 13 is a
The unlucky number. Yeah,
number. It's a superstitious number.
Yeah.
So it just adds to the
sort of the mystique of the whole thing. Now, so I think the whole suggestion here is that this Mothman, this cryptid, which you want to give a description of what people saw exactly, like full description of what the thing was.
A lot of people say like a bird-like figure.
Yeah,
it's a bird-like figure or an angelic type figure. People can't discern if it's like if it brings disaster or if it's just a warning.
So the omen thing is the bigger part. That's what I was
like if it's
itching to mention, which was so it seems to be associated with some kind of an omen to something disastrous happening.
Up until the event where the Silver Bridge collapsed, locals were claiming to have similar thought patterns and dreams of presence floating in water.
Shit.
Yeah. So, like, it was just before the bridge even collapsed. So this is another weird thing, right?
Yeah.
So they were all persons floating in water, and it happened in December, in the middle of December. So people obviously would have been Christmas shopping. Yeah. Right. Which I'm pretty sure there's probably presents floating in that water when the bridge collapsed. Yeah. Because cars fell into the. So it's weird, but these were before the incident.
Yeah.
So that people were going to the police and claiming this. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember like historical narratives of maybe multiple people saying that they saw the same thing.
Yeah.
In terms of a
this
creature.
Was just thought, but so there's a guy, there's a skeptic on the documentary I watched, and he was like, well, there could be a reason for it, right? Because even though the water's filtered, right, there's a lot of chemicals that the military used when they're manufacturing arms and ammunition at the TNT area that have been flooded into the water system that could have caused mass hallucinations. And because everybody's drinking that water, even though it's filtered, some of those chemicals can still get through, and we don't know what the effects were happening to people at Point Pleasant. So that's a theory. Yeah, that hasn't been. I don't think it's been tested at all.
The only thing that pushes me to immediately reject that is
everybody seemed widely
to be seeing
healthy.
The same thing.
Well, not just the same thing, but they seem relatively in good health, right?
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is, for example, let's say you and I are tripping our balls off right now on something. Yeah. We're not going to see the same thing. If some like hallucinations, obviously visual hallucinations happen on chemicals, neuroactive chemicals, but it doesn't mean you're going to be seeing the same thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, mass hallucinations are like a 1 in a million fucking thing, right?
Yeah, and there's usually a reason for them. Yeah, and it's probably affecting the same part.
Something. A giant spider, then everybody's hallucinating.
Yes, either somebody's primed or the effect is on the same organic effect on the brain is on the same part of the brain. Which, for example, if you affect the angular gyrus of the brain, you're going to be affected a certain way. Yeah. The prefrontal cortex a certain kind of way. So these things are like there's a determined path for them. So I do not immediately think that's a good explanation.
Yeah. So actually, the from 1966 to 1969 were the most sightings. Yeah. Like accounted. So it's like 2 years after the bridge collapsed. Yeah. So there was people started seeing UFOs apparently around Point Pleasant, like
Mm.
the claim, and then they would go outside and see the lights would just be covered in strange lights, like strange wavy green lights.
What
and
is
stuff
covered
like
by
that.
strange lights?
The sky.
Oh, okay. Mm.
They'd look up at the night sky, kind of like the Aurora Borealis type of thing.
Yeah.
But in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Yeah.
And it was green.
Aurora Borealis doesn't have got no business.
Yeah.
in West
You've
Virginia.
got no business here, Aurora Borealis. Get the fuck out of West Virginia.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it was like similar to that, the Northern Lights.
Which part of the story makes you feel like this might be associated with some alien stuff?
Well, for me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think so, but there was claims of shortly after, because in November 16th, the day right after the first sighting,
Mm-hmm.
the kids went to the police and reported it to the police.
Yeah.
What happened?
No, we're good.
Okay. So they reported it to the police, and they went and investigated. They didn't find anything, of course.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then I guess, and then that same night, another lady, her name was Marcella Bennett. She saw the exact same thing the kids did, and this is before the news got around, right?
Yeah.
So she saw something black, but
Yeah.
it was the red glowing eyes, right? It's the red glowing eyes.
Got it.
Everything else is usually different height, wing variant, what it looks like, its face and stuff. But the
the
red
general
glowing eyes are
description
consistent,
is and the eyes is consistent.
They're baseball sized and about 2 inches apart, red glowing eyes.
Mm-hmm.
She saw him, and then Carolyn Harris, her sister,
Mm-hmm.
she never saw it, but she was always asking her sister about it and stuff like that.
So I have read. What you're going after is there's been several sightings between November and December, November 1966 and December of 67, until the bridge collapsed. There's been multiple sightings.
Yeah.
Now I have read that the most compelling sighting was attributed to two young couples, Steve and Mary Mallette.
Yeah, that was the original couples, right?
Yes, and then Roger and Linda Scarberry.
Yeah, they were the kids.
Yeah, they were the kids that happened to be around the Point Pleasant, West Virginia area on November 15th in 66. So their account is often referred to as apparently the TNT area accounting sighting. And so here's the description, all right, for everybody who's wondering. So what kids are saying, especially these couples are saying, is they come up onto the TNT area and they see two red glowing orbs, like two red glowing things from afar.
Yeah.
They drive closer to it and they soon realize it is a creature.
Yeah.
Which suddenly stood on, like you said, it's bipedal.
Yeah.
Stood up on 2 feet. They described it as bat-looking, like a bat kind of appearance.
Yeah.
And it had wings.
Yeah.
This happens to match with other people's description, which I find kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Right? Because first of all, our biological accounting of like species is pretty shaky, to be honest.
Yeah.
When it goes to the sea, it gets even more scarce. But on land, it's still bad, but we have a good accounting. So I will not completely rule it out. It might be a discovery of a whole new thing, a whole new species. Yeah. But why not before 66?
There's
why not after?
Theory of if it was a creature,
what
it might be.
Yeah.
But the reason why this kind of ties into UFOs and aliens and stuff is because shortly after the reporting, the Men in Black started showing up in Point Pleasant all over the place. Yeah. And they were shooting out tourists. Yeah. And everybody knows the Men in Black from the Men in Black movie with Will Smith.
Ooh, here comes the conspiracy part.
So, everybody knows about that movie. Yeah. But they were actually a conspiracy theory before that movie even came out. Yeah. But they primarily deal with aliens, apparently. Their government. It's just they all wear uniform, straight black suits, black sunglasses, black fedora hats, black tie, white shirt, everything in black. So we don't know what they are. So Men in Black. And they were apparently shooing out people who didn't live there. So if you didn't live there, they were forcing you to leave town. There's many accounts of people being shooed out by the Men in Black. Wow. They're like, leave the town, don't come back. Yeah. So
Interesting.
Yeah, that's another thing that ties it in with the aliens and the UFOs. Right?
Yeah.
Is because
So you think there might have been some kind of government discovered something? There might be a cover.
I don't know. I don't know if there's actually any real accounts of them being there.
Yeah. Is there any
claims?
Is there any record of actually Men in Black being a thing? I mean, they may not be called the Men in Black.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, they think it's like some secret government branch, right?
But there's been multiple of those. For sure. We know a bunch.
Yeah, they've shown up like everywhere. The quote unquote aliens have been shown up, or some kind of supernatural shit.
Yeah. Now those 4 kids that I was describing. Usually, if someone told me they briefly saw something, I'm a hugely skeptical person. You know that, and it's not about me being jaded or cynical as an adult. I honestly am curious about things.
Logical explanation for most things,
and it's possible that you could, even as a group, especially if one person says something, it is possible that you immediately sort of attribute whatever you're saying to that character.
Well, for one, it's dark.
Yes.
2, you see something.
Yeah.
And it makes you afraid because you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And fear can alter.
Oh, for sure.
What your perception is.
Grieving, and fear are potent.
Yes.
Stimulators. It could precipitate like a whole genre of like movie happening in front of you, but it's not happening.
It's dark. You're in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
You see something. No one's supposed to be out here.
Yeah.
So you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And you see something vaguely human-like.
Yeah.
It could have been just like a machine. Lifting.
Yeah.
Red
for sure. Once you start running, you've already seen whatever you saw. It's done. But here's the weird part, though.
But
it chased them.
Yeah. Yeah. It chased them. Yeah, you're correct. It chased them.
It was flying on top of their car, keeping up with their pace. Yeah. Now you do not necessarily. Now it is possible because I remember a story of a UFO, a cop who gave an accounting of a UFO experience. He says he was abducted or whatever. I think that might be the end of the story. But what happened was he was describing. He was just driving in his patrol car. It's dark, and it's like both sides of the street are like tall pine trees. Okay. Yeah. I don't know where it's at, but somewhere north, I guess. Now it's got to be right. Yeah. Somewhere in Saskatchewan, whatever. Now it's a pretty rural area. Now so the roads are kind of twisty. Mm-hmm. So he looks across through the trees and he can see like a light, like very nearby, an orb. Now it just happens to be that time of the year. Venus is extremely bright.
Oh, yeah.
The twisting of the road made it look like the object was moving. Uh-huh. So he started chasing it. All right?
Yeah.
So this guy did not just see one light. He chased it for a good minute.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's more than a minute, but it is possible for you. It's good. It's possible that you could see something and sort of like build a reality around it to where you don't sort of rein in your cognitive faculties to be able to ask like skeptical questions. So these people could be, but the description of a flying creature flapping its wings that you just saw keeping up on top of your car, it just evokes the idea of like Dracula from that movie Underworld kind of thing. You remember that scene? Yeah. It just you how is that possible that you can mistake that for something else?
I mean, you're right. Like the fact that it chased it, that gives me more pause to it, right?
Yeah.
Like before, if they just ran and didn't chase them, like, well, that could have been multiple things.
Yeah.
But the fact that all 4 of them say that it chased them.
Yeah. And they were pretty accurate in terms of like keeping up with the pace. Now that actually makes me feel like maybe there might have been something.
Maybe.
Like in the sky that they feel like, because it is possible you could see something, and if it's far enough, it's gonna look like it's keeping up.
Yeah.
Right. If it's something too far, you're not gonna run away from it to where your perspective changes enough to know that you put some distance between that object and yourself. Mm-hmm. So it might have been something so far away that they felt like it kept it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, 4 kids, all terrified. I mean, I would be super interested to hear their testimonies, like one by one, like in separate rooms.
I don't think anybody's ever recanted like a testimony from this.
No.
So.
No.
Like, oh well, it was something different. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real weird, man. Like, but it's always like interested me because like every time, like like it shows up, like something bad happens, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these, apparently, the way it happens is a lot of people get these prophetic visions or thought patterns.
Yeah.
And some of them have happened, apparently, and some of them haven't.
Yeah.
Like some of these prophecies or omens or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, I mean, this is like 50-50 on it. Like, it's still, it's like, is this guy a bad faith actor or is he warning people, right? Like, we don't know if he's the cause of the events or it is the cause of the events or if it's just like, hey, some shit's about to happen.
No, I mean that does require us first to admit that such a creature.
Well, yeah, I'm just like
the assumption.
If I
were to entertain that idea,
if I can see that the creature exists, right?
Yeah.
Is it some kind of bad faith actor?
Yeah.
And it's like what are its motives? Yeah. What is the point of notifying us? Like, because it's not preventing anything, right? No. It's just like, hey, something bad's gonna happen. It's like, because it was vague, presence in water. Yeah. Like, that was the vision people were getting, right? Yeah. It's like, what are you going to do with that? Nothing. It's weird that everybody's getting that vision, but it's just like, well, what are you going to do with that? That could be fucking anything. Someone could have tripped in a fucking puddle and dropped the damn presents, and they're just floating in water.
Yeah. It's probably that thing might have caused. I mean, running away from that thing could be a cause of the incident. Imagine something comes up to warn you.
And another thing is, like, if it was a good faith actor, right? Why would it chase the kids? Right? So it makes me seem more like it's a harbinger of doom than it is like like something good. Yeah,
let's just say that, because if obviously I'm not sold.
Well, neither am I. I'm just saying, like, if I were to see the point that the creature was real.
Got it. Because that would be so obvious.
It doesn't seem like a benevolent being. Really.
Hey, in December 1967, a bridge collapsed.
Well, yeah.
What happened around that time?
It didn't show the bridge collapse. It just showed the presence in water, according to the testimony of their vision. And it was several people who had it all roughly around the same time before it could spread. And this is before the age of the internet or social media or cell phone.
Yes, that does give it credence.
So news was spreading real slow. Like, even in a small town, news doesn't spread that fast.
Yes, for sure. No, by the way, that you bring up a good point. All those conspiracies that we probably are gonna tackle with this format.
Oh yeah, they're all pre-internet,
pre-internet, and that for me makes them more compelling.
Yeah,
and there's some. I mean,
that's like
it's difficult to investigate though.
Like, when we cover creepypastas, we're gonna acknowledge the fact that
I still need to look what the fuck that is.
Dude, like, you should read into some of them. They're pretty freaking interesting. Yeah, they're like you'll go down a rabbit hole that you won't crawl back up from.
Now, before I forget, so there is this an eel-looking fish. I don't know if you know it. Super long. They call it like the tsunami omen fish in Japanese folklore.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's still there. It's alive. Like, it's just the thing that you can see right now. You can dive and see it. It's really long. It looks like a snake, but it's like a fish.
How
like
long?
A fish.
Is it like big?
Several feet. Yeah. It's huge. But the sighting of that by fishermen has almost always been followed by a devastating tsunami.
Okay.
So they think it's a harbinger of doom. It's like, we see that shit. So like,
get the fuck back.
Get the fuck back.
Get the shore.
And it's shocking. And they just saw one recently.
Oh,
so everybody's like shitting their pants right now.
Like, everybody's barricading.
Now, but listen, isn't there some credence to this?
Well, yeah, like,
because there is a direct relation between what happens under the seabed and tsunamis.
I mean, yeah, but it's just like if anything, right? Like, if every time you picked up this mouse, like, something fell on your hand, right?
No, you're talking about causation in
yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? So it's like, even though that these two things don't correlate, you would be very hesitant about picking up the mouse. You'd be like, every time I do this, X happens. It doesn't mean that they
in any way correlate. Now I understand, but here is my hypothesis here. Now, we know how a tsunami happens. It's earthquakes underneath the seabed, right? You know, for example, dogs tend to bark just before lightning. cats know before, even dogs know before earthquakes.
Well, yeah, it's because they can smell stuff in the air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What if
That we can't.
What if there is an increased seismic activity underneath the seabed, and that seems to bring them up towards fishermen?
That eel.
The eel thing.
Yeah.
Right, what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would explain.
That would technically be like a perfectly fine explanation. Yeah. Maybe like that seismic activity affects their food source. Yeah. They come up to a certain level, like depth.
Like, hey, shit's getting crazy down here.
Yeah. Let me come up and like, hey, my food is up there now. You know what I'm saying?
Then the tsunami happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually could be. It
exactly.
could be like a warning sign. Yeah.
I can't even find anything like that for Mothman. Like, what the fuck do I do with it?
Exactly.
Well, it's like 4 kids say we were chased by a fucking bat.
You can go and look at the eel, right? So you can see the reality. We can't examine the Mothman because there hasn't been a body.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
And we don't even know if it's like sentient, right? To our level, for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Right? We don't like, as far as we know, it's just like it's got like just animal brain.
Yeah. Yeah, but they did say though the body looks like a human.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
the
monkeys also
man
have body type.
Yes,
shape,
it's humanoid.
like
humanoid. Yeah.
So I mean, but they have animal brain.
That is not saying much.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
So it's. I mean, it's a mystery. But another theory is that it's because of all the munitions pollution over there that could be something that mutated. Which we have seen mutated fish and stuff like that, and they grow appendages and things that they're not supposed to have.
Have we?
Yeah. There's pictures of mutated fish that get like they were pulled out around Japan, around
the Fukushima.
The
Fukushima power plant. I don't know if
they were later discovered to be a type of fish, but they did not look like that fish because of all the radioactivity had mutated it.
I find that interesting. I mean, obviously, I have no reason to doubt you. You've read something.
I mean,
I'm sure.
It's not a lot of accounts of these types of fish. Yeah. It's just they found a weird looking fish. Yeah. And they're like, well, there's no other type of fish like this. But it was like, oh, it's this fish.
Yeah.
But it. Yeah.
Got it. The only thing that makes me suspicious against that is like high accelerated mutation would be like almost not heard of in our species, in our
exactly. But I'm saying that's a theory, right?
Yeah.
Of what it could possibly be if you were trying to look at it
in
grounds of reality, right?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like, I mean, definitely something got affected. I mean, they're dumping highly radioactive water into the sea.
Yeah.
So, but aside from the accelerated mutation, which I potentially question, but here's about the thing. What is the Russian thing that got
Chernobyl?
Yeah. So no humans there, obviously. Yeah. They've got the sarcophagus thing that they built around it, but obviously before that there was substantial pollution around there. Yeah, now they went back, to that area. Yeah. I think maybe 6-7 years ago.
There's Mothman.
Would not be the best. No. And guess what they found?
What?
Nature thriving.
Oh, where Chernobyl happened?
Where no human can go.
Yeah.
Because their Geiger counter just goes woohoo.
Yeah.
Crazy. Because there's like almost lethal doses.
Yeah.
Miles away from it, right? No human can go there. Wildlife, the botany, the plant life,
the flora,
thriving, the flora and the fauna, just
the fauna,
everything thriving.
So the animals
were great.
Oh wow!
So they found out the wolves. So there were wolves. Obviously, they have found this amazing. So wolves, and this is an interesting thing. I keep going on a tangent, but wolves appear to be, in terms of like the predatory like kind of pyramid. You want them in your ecosystem.
Oh yeah.
They seem to. Do you remember that area where they reintroduced the wolves and everything just came right back up?
Yeah.
The grass was not being overgrazed by the deer.
Because
the deer population. Yeah. Well, the overpopulation of the deer decimated the grass, and then nothing grew. Everything died out. They brought like 7 of them. They sort of control there was like, because it's a matriarchy, there was just a mom having like a bunch of cubs, and it was like a well-regulated wolf generation, and everything came back to life.
Yeah.
Almost the same thing in Chernobyl area.
Yeah.
the wolves were the peak predators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Their fur had like exceptionally high dose of radiation.
Oh wow.
But somehow they have found
They're
a way
fine.
to. They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
So everything was great. Like literally, if like the buildings were like oh shit, I just lost my mic. It's a thing. Isn't it crazy that I was holding on to it?
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you were holding on to it.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Your
Take
shit
it off
would've
the,
just
I'm gonna take it
dropped.
off the stand. Yeah, no, the clamp went on.
We'll fix it. We'll fix it in post.
Wouldn't that be great? I'm not that much of a magician, but yeah, we'll try. So
This is a jump cut, and then the microphone's back. And
no. I'm gonna keep it in. We what was it that you said?
The wolves and the radiation.
No. What was it that you said about us not putting anything on the editing floor?
Oh yeah,
We keep everything.
yeah. I know. I don't ever want to cut anything.
Bloopers and snafus, baby. We keep them in.
Yeah, we keep them in. There are we got no outtakes.
Yeah.
They're all
So
intakes.
remember in the movies like a post-apocalyptic, but not the decimated area, but where the grass has just overgrown on buildings and everything is like green.
Yeah.
That's Chernobyl right now.
Yeah.
Like amazing diversity.
I mean, because like so what happens is because we have out of season hunting where you're allowed to hunt like specific animals because they're getting too much.
Yeah.
They would without the predator population, like these animals will end up starving to death because they'll eat everything and then they'll move.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why we have to hunt alligators, right?
Yes.
Or crocodiles.
Yeah.
Dude, if we didn't, the whole world, they'd be everywhere.
What?
Crocodiles. Because they breed rapidly.
Yeah.
They lay multiple eggs, right?
Yeah.
So there's more crocodiles. If they're not hunted,
yeah.
like, because they have no predators.
I don't think except
Not
anacondas,
States,
like
really.
giant snakes do eat them sometimes.
Yeah.
Hippos kill them, but they don't eat them, obviously.
Yeah, but we don't really have hippos here
Yeah.
in the wild.
El Chapo's hippos.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we have in North America.
I'm afraid of hippos, man.
Yeah.
But if we didn't hunt those and like the way they do, they would be fucking everywhere.
Yeah. So like, it's just crazy to me that how mutation sort of like life finds a way.
Yeah.
So you can't
always. That is crazy though. With the Chernobyl, I didn't know that.
It's thriving right now, dude.
That's nuts.
They're in fact actually making it like maybe we can study if humans were not there, like whatever was gonna happen. Like this is a perfect specimen.
Nature balances itself out.
Yeah, like nature finds a way all the time.
Yeah, it's like too many deer, we got wolves.
So Mothman, it follows. Here's a reach in some ways.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear your bullshit theory.
So there was this guy, right? It's West Virginia.
Yeah.
He's lonely.
Yeah.
He's like, he looks like this giant moth.
He looks like a giant moth?
No, he looks at a giant moth.
Oh, he looks.
Yeah. So he's just hanging out in his crib. It's the woods.
Yeah.
It's just bombs going off left and right. He's like bored the fuck out of his skull.
Well.
And then it's like, he looks like up and then there's just giant moth just flying around the light.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that's going to just debunk this whole fucking thing.
Bro, hold up. So it's like, so this is in the 1940s, right?
Yeah.
He was
so
29.
29 years prior, 20 years prior to the incident.
Yeah.
So this is a long con he's got going on, right? That doesn't pay off.
Dude, I'm coming up with the theory as I go. So just let me.
This shit just does not pay off. This motherfucker ain't getting
but the moth is kind of like, you know how moths like they got that.
The fucking pompous little fucking moths just flipping their little.
I'm just saying, maybe a bored guy had his way with a moth.
With a moth.
Yeah. And the moth was like, "Fuck this."
It just lays little moth
babies.
hybrids.
Right.
So all right. So now I'm gonna punch a hole in this right now, right?
Okay.
So this thing wasn't called Moth.
That's what the guy did to the moth.
This thing wasn't called Mothman until John Keel was there writing his novel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was a while after. They didn't have a name for it before this.
He called her Jared. But
So
I don't know why Jared.
so like he and from most accounts,
Yeah.
he does not look moth-like at all. I don't.
Yeah,
So I really don't know why
I'm
he's
gonna
called
put a
Mothman.
picture right here for the description
Yeah, it's
of
just Mothman.
just a Mothman.
Just a Mothman.
Like, okay, so there's a Mothman
Well,
right between us
he
right
was-
now.
he
Just
was-
just describe him to me. Like,
Yeah.
what are you seeing right now? So there is a giant creature,
Yeah.
slender, skinny.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why he was named that.
Okay, tell
He
me.
was named after the Batman villain, Mothman.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Batman had a supervillain named Mothman. He, from the descriptions, he looks kind of similar to
Yeah.
the costume of the Mothman in
Uh-huh.
the comic books.
Yeah. Well, for me, this one is a dud.
Oh yeah, I don't see many grounds in it, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's. So I believe that these people saw something. Was it?
Sure.
Was it? I mean, because there's
Yeah.
too much stuff,
Yeah.
and this is a time where communication's slower paced.
Yeah.
I mean, news gets around a small town, but it
Uh-huh.
takes a bit for that news to travel around
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
And people are seeing similar things
Mm-hmm.
outside of without outside influence of
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other.
yeah.
From what it appears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's I'm.
That's the only part that gives it more
I
credence
don't
to
think there's a quote unquote Mothman,
Yeah.
but I do believe that they all saw something
Got it.
and experienced something. Do I know what it is? No, not at all.
Do you know the mainstream explanation for chupacabra? So chupacabra is.
It's a delicious seasoning you put on your meats. Chupacabra.
I'm sure there's a dry. Is that a dry rub kind of thing?
It's a seasoning.
Okay. So well,
You really don't know about chupacabra?
well, you know how I eat.
Dude, it's the best. It replaces all other seasoning.
We're
We're not sponsored by Chupacabra, but it is so good.
So what is in it? Like, is it like
It's just a
like,
mixture of a bunch of spices. It's all in one. It replaces your entire fucking spice
how is it
cabinet.
different from like Italian seasoning or whatever?
It's way better. Like, I can't.
Would you
I
like to
can't
describe?
it to you,
Okay.
man.
So it's like ground
I
onion.
got put
like,
on this shit by George, Will, James.
Okay.
They're grill people, man.
Yeah. So I can say I can imagine a dry rub. Is it like
It's not a dry rub.
Uh-huh.
It's a seasoning. You sprinkle it on there like garlic
After the
powder or
cook?
onion powder. No, why? Before you cook. It's not really a dry rub. It's just kind of like salt and pepper. You put it on your shit before you cook it.
I thought that was a dry rub.
Maybe, but I don't consider it a dry rub because you're not rubbing it in there. It's just a seasoning.
Dude, you call it a dry rub because you put it on
No.
before you cook or like smoke or whatever. It's
It's not
not.
dry rub because you rub it on dry.
Nah, dude, I don't. I think your head is somewhere else.
Yeah. Anyways.
None of us like dry rubs. I know that.
Shut the fuck up. This is a family-friendly podcast, sir.
Dude, your mom is watching.
Yeah, my mom's watching this too.
Yeah. Well, chupacabra. Well, the Mexican
And my
folklore
mother-in-law.
is. Holy. Don't go there, dude. Dude, so here's the story. I don't want to go into chupacabra, but
Yeah.
it's like the Mexican version of like the freaking I don't know, like a
Yeah.
Mothman. Whatever.
Yeah. the
Like
chupacabra.
Dracula, like Dracula, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like a creature that haunts the desert
you
or
know
whatever.
what, dude, we'll talk about the chupacabra when we do the chupacabra episode.
Well, they found out the explanation is like fucking rabid coyotes.
Well, yeah.
It's
I
like,
already knew that.
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, there's coyotes out there. Some of them get rabies, and they act rabid, right?
Yeah.
And the way they freaking act for a scared little, you know what I'm saying? The Jose goes out in the night and he's like, "Oh, Dios míos."
It's the chupacabra.
Yeah, and then, here's the thing though. The idea, I know we've attributed the lack of internet to the slow,
Yes.
potentially not people copying other people's
Yeah,
narrative.
so it's like why urban legends developed.
Yeah, but these narratives these are like folklores that are told for generations, right?
Yeah.
So a kid from the pup is hearing this shit, like sees a fucking slightly wayward coyote is like, fucking so
Okay.
chupacabra.
So I got something funny.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just an urban legend thing.
Yeah.
So when I lived on the military base,
Yeah.
God damn, dude, turn down your
That was
fucking
a-
loud ass phone.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So when I lived on the military base, I was with my high school friends, and we were
Yeah.
sitting there talking. They were telling urban legend story, and there's one local one, right?
Yeah.
It's about a satyr. Do you know what satyrs are?
Seder?
satyr.
No.
So it's kind of like the old like iconic depiction of Satan, goat legs,
Like the
horns.
Baphomet?
Huh?
Baphomet? It's called the Baphomet,
Yeah,
I believe.
I guess.
Okay.
So like, but they're a mythical creature. They're from like Greek and Celtic lore.
Oh shit. Okay.
The satyrs, they're guardians of nature.
Okay,
pretty
so
much.
they look like Baphomet, but they're things that okay.
That's where the depiction comes from, because a lot of
Got
like
it.
Christian like depictions of things came from other religions, like the Norse,
oh yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
So, he was telling us the story like about the satyr and like how it goes out and like kills kids and shit like that. And we're like, funny story.
Yeah.
And then we're in high school, so we don't really take any credence to this bullshit.
Yeah.
That we're telling each other. We're just telling stories. So his mom, we're all staying over at my friend Carmelo's house, and his mom was like, "Hey, we need you to go find your sister, his older sister." Because she was like messing around with her boyfriend or something. So we all go out in a group. It's like 10 of us, 10 boys, 10 high school boys. Yeah. And we're going out. We're looking for her sister. So we walk down to the convenience store. She's not there. And we're like, well, we're not going to look all over for all fucking night. So we turn around. We're like, we want to play video games. So we turn around and start walking back. And it's like dead quiet. And all of a sudden, the bush to our left. Everybody just stops. We're just like,
say that.
And then a fucking deer just leaps out of the fucking bush.
Fuck.
And we all like,
it's scary. You've been primed to just be terrified.
But it was just so perfect, right?
Yeah. The timing is yeah. I think that has a huge.
Because partially we kind of forgot about it. We're just like, dude, let's go.
Oh, you'll remember it quick.
Yeah. We're like.
And I bet everybody's mind just went there at the same time.
Yeah, because we all talked about it.
What did you call it?
We thought the satyr.
The satyr, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, it was funny.
Dude, as recently today.
Yeah.
I was researching another story that we plan to do for next week.
Yeah.
You can give them a taste. We're gonna talk about ghosts for next week. Yeah. So I was just researching that.
Yeah.
And I was cleaning Alice's room.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I consider myself, when it comes to ghosts, I try to be obviously as understanding as possible. When it comes to that, I actually do not believe in that. And I'll get into my reasons later. But
I will get into.
I don't care about it. But I was pushing her electric cart because the battery's dead. I couldn't turn it on. She's got like a go-kart kind of situation. Yeah. I was pushing it into the closet. You know, when the battery like the gear engages when you just push it, it was just floating, but then it suddenly engaged, and it made this fucking sound. And I thought someone touched me from behind.
This place on?
Someone touched me, dude.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. I'm like, what the fuck? And I just got, like, even me, the skeptic. Yeah. I was like, dude, just because I had something in my ear, I was listening to something from a podcast. And yeah, I got jumpy.
Yeah.
So you hear a story about a tall humanoid creature with red eyes.
Yeah.
Fucking towering at 7 feet.
You turn into.
It's got this bat looking, and I'm sure was Dracula a story then?
Dracula's based off a real person.
Well, I know about that, Count Dracula, but obviously the story's Transylvania.
Yeah, probably, because I think Bram Stoker's novel came out way before then.
Yeah. So I what I'm trying to say is, like, you kind of put together things that in the past. So imagine someone saying like, it's like like Dracula kind of thing,
Yeah, because I mean, Dracula was out in the silent movie era.
Oh yeah, I mean Frankenstein, Dracula, all those stories were already there. Yeah,
this takes place way after.
Correct. After those stories like Frankenstein, Dracula, those things were like part of the story. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, if someone could have this imagery in their head of a story they've heard about Dracula, so imagine being told something like that and going out with your girlfriend, boyfriend, you see whatever
something
that
weird.
Looks even remotely
something out of the ordinary.
Yeah, two red things.
Yeah,
is all you need. Just a flashing red light is all you need.
A
prank.
But the chasing thing.
That's why I mentioned it. That one just kind of is.
That's a little bit. That's a little bit.
There's
weird.
only one explanation for that one. The kids talked about it.
Well, no,
sensationalize the story.
It was the Mothman. That's the only explanation. It was the Mothman.
Yeah, but like I said, I know you don't believe it. Like obviously, you don't give it much credence.
Not
but
really. But I mean,
they're
it's
interesting.
it's fun to think about, and it makes
Yeah.
the world a little bit. I mean, the world would be more interesting if there were things like that in it. But
Like a Mothman in it.
like a Mothman, yeah.
What about a moth bitch?
Moth bitch. It's moth bitch.
I shouldn't say the B word. Forgive me. I'm gonna bleep that.
Don't bleep it out.
Yeah.
You don't edit.
What about Moth Brother?
Moth brother?
That'll be
Does
hilarious.
he got a fro?
Yeah.
You got a fro
What?
with a pick in it?
No. Oh yeah. I could say
Moth brother.
Yeah, Moth Brother would be like coming out with the fro and shit. And
Yeah.
deuces, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's it for me. Do you have
yeah.
anything more about Mothman?
No, that's it, man. I mean, there's not a lot really, like other than just a billion different eyewitness accounts.
Yeah.
It's just I think it's interesting. I like cryptids. I think they're interesting to talk about, think about.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them don't have much credence, especially this one, because everything's off eyewitness account. There's no government intervention like with the last one we talked about Roswell. When the Air Force came out, it was like, a flying disc, stuff like that. We have no like credible sources.
Yeah, for sure.
To that have said anything about this.
Yeah.
So it's all eyewitness account.
I think the only reason it actually stayed in the interest is first of all, this whole cryptid thing is interesting. Yeah. It's weird, but also it became like perfect for like a documentary for books and stuff. Exactly. So it's kind of stayed alive. It's
fun because like there's a whole bunch of like TV shows have evolved around this kind of thing, right? Like hunting monsters and stuff like that.
Sure.
And like we're gonna talk about more like
yes sir,
ones I don't know a lot about. Ones from different countries.
Yeah. We have.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I have one
in your made up country. You've probably made up something.
Oh, this is interesting, actually.
Well, we'll talk about it later.
No. It comes close to the Mothman kind of thing, like a chupacabra, that kind of theme. Yeah. So they're called. I'm gonna use the Amharic word for it. They're called charak.
Charak.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't say the sound, so yeah. Sure. Yeah. White boy.
Well, I mean, shit. I don't speak your made-up language, dude.
Yeah, but that's what it is called. So these are creatures. Now, I know what inspired this story. It's for sure the imagery from the like Dante's Inferno kind of thing, where they had the devils and stuff, and our devils, remarkably, in my Eastern Orthodox religion growing up, remarkably look like Dante's Inferno creatures, like with the tail. Like with a barb at the end. Okay. Literally the devil. Yeah.
They have pitchforks?
With the for sure. Dude,
they of course. Is it a devil if it doesn't have a pitchfork?
So they're called tracks. But here's the thing. They're like they're like the closest thing to it is like demons, but they're physical entities. But they eat kids. Like they come up and just fucking like cannibalize kids. Yeah. Whatever. But these are not like demons where they possess you. These ones are like physical beings. They come to harm you. Like it's like these are like Satan personified kind of thing. Okay. We have that. I have stories up to the wazoo about this motherfuckers, dude.
Out the wazoo, dude.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
I gotta ask you something.
Yeah.
Medically, where is the wazoo?
The wazoo.
Where's it located?
It's a conspiracy, but I'm gonna tell you where the wazoo is.
Tell me where the wazoo is.
The wazoo is this hypothetical place in your brain where you fucking run out of compute for memory.
It's around here. This is where the wazoo is located.
It's right after the Wernicke area, just above the the Brocas area. Yeah. Anyways, that's
there's a map. It's like arrow wazoo.
That'd be great. You would immediately lose your license. all credentials.
We've got to operate on this wazoo immediately.
Yeah. It seems to be a problem with your wazoo. Yeah. It's like not enough blood supply.
Just go there, serious doctor face. Mr. Jones, you've got cancer of the wazoo.
Yeah. Yeah. There's endless.
It's untreatable.
Yeah. Anywho, that's all the wazoo I got about Mothman.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah,
a
dude,
dud, but a fun dud, dude.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like talking about this stuff.
Yeah, it's like one of AMC or whatever animations with the running thing. What was that? With the Bucks Bunny or whatever.
The
remember
Roadrunner?
Yeah. But you remember like there was who was that thing that
the Wile E. Coyote?
Yes. But wasn't there like an episode where he works in a bomb factory, in a giant like ammunition factory, but he is the tester.
Oh, I have no idea.
So the bomb.
No, he's always ordering shit from Acme to try to catch the Roadrunner.
Acme, yeah. No, but one of those, right? One of those styles of animation. But the way it comes up is like the bomb, the warhead for the fucking missile, whatever, is coming down the conveyor belt, and his job is to just hammer on top and find the duds. And when it doesn't go off, he just does that and does this. He writes dud on it. I'm like, fuck that job,
shit.
dude.
So that's what you're considering this?
I'm saying, yeah, that's what we just hammered this, and all of them were duds, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. You can catch us on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
At A Barely Podcast. Mm-hmm. We're on Facebook at Barely a Podcast because we're back on there, no longer banned. You can check out our sponsor, Coffee Brand Coffee, by going to coffeebrandcoffee.com or clicking the link in the description and using promo code BARELY, BARELY, at checkout to save 5% off your order. It's really good coffee. It actually is pretty good.
I've noticed they do have like running promos all the time, but you share sometimes more than 5%. Use those when you have a chance. But if you don't, obviously you never have to run a promo.
Or if
codes.
you just want to support content,
there's that
support
too.
Me and Teddy. You can just use it.
Yeah, forego the other 10% they're offering.
Save the extra 5% and support us.
Yeah, but sometimes there are no promos.
Use the 10 if they have 10%.
Yeah. When they don't have it though, you always got the barely.
Yeah,
is what we're saying.
We're always there. We're always there. You can get the barely bump on your order.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, we're also on YouTube. We're on YouTube, Rumble.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Our Mothman merch is coming out. So I'm just kidding.
Barely mothy.
We're barely mothy, dude. All right, and we'll check you next week.
All right.
Bye.